An Indian bride follows the Sola Singar, which stands for 16 adornments. These 16 adornments are supposed to represent the lunar cycle of the moon. The Shadi Ka Joda is the dress that a traditional Indian bride would wear. It's usually very bright in color. Majority of the time it is red, and it's embellished with lots of gold trim as well as lots of beads. And the more embellished and extravagant the dress is, the more desired it is by a bride. Kesh Posh Ranka is the way the bride's hair is styled. It is usually styled in a braid, and the three parts of the braid stand for India's three main rivers, and there's usually lots of beads and embellishment in the hair that just goes along with the Indian tradition. Kara is flowers that are added to the hair as well, and the most common flower used is jasmine. Mantika is a bejeweled hairpiece that is placed in the hair part of the bride and comes down to her head, and it represents the fact that Hindus believe that women are the preservation of the human race. Sindoor is a red powder that the groom places on the hair part and forehead of the bride, and that simply represents that she is married. Bindi is a jewel that is placed in the middle of the forehead, and more traditionally it was a red dot, and that simply represents that the woman is married. Nath is the nose ring worn by the bride, and almost every Indian bride wears this. It represents that she is married, and it is supposed to be worn the whole time that she is married to her husband. Karnful means flower of the ear, and those are the earrings that the bride wears, usually very big and extravagant, lots of jewels. A har is a giant necklace that the bride wears, and the Mangal sitar is where a groom places an additional necklace on the bride. Baju band is an armband worn by the bride, and it is supposed to protect her and her husband from evil. Mehendi is the henna worn by the bride on her hands and feet. Chudian are the banglets worn by the bride. Asari are the rings worn by the bride, and they usually have mirrors on them so she can see herself. Karma band is basically a band placed on the bride, and it helps keep her dress up. Payao is the ankle bracelet worn by the bride, and Bigas is the toe rings worn by the bride, and the toe ring is supposed to be worn until her husband dies. Attar is simply the perfume that the bride wears to smell nice for her husband. Safa is a headpiece worn by the groom, and in more contemporary weddings, sometimes even worn by the groomsmen. A sar peach is a little bonus. It's added to the safa, and it's just basically a big jewel. Sarah are beads placed in front of the man's face, and those are so he cannot see his bride until they are married. Sherwani is the traditional formal attire for men, and it is worn by all grooms in Indian weddings, and again, the more gold thread and embellishment there is, the more it is desired. Mojari are the shoes worn by the groom, and they come to a point and they are flat.
We're going to show you 4 different styles. A langa with a blouse, which is basically a skirt with a top with the dupatta. The shalwar with the kurta, which is just the short tunic with the loose pants. And then the chudidar, which is the long underdress with the jacket overlay. And the tight, skinny pants, as well as a sari. These are all wonderful options to wear at the next wedding you attend. And then our little ones, they are always the ones that we want to show off. So this is a beautiful example of a langa with the top, but look at all those jewels. We sure do start them off early, loving those jewelry. And then this one's special because It has the attached chunni or dupatta. This way they don't lose it as they're running and playing throughout the evening. These are just some of the examples that children and young ladies and women will wear to a wonderful reception.